What if the way you're walking every day after 70 is actually increasing your risk of heart disease, falls, weakness, and even early death? I know that sounds alarming, and I want you to take a breath, because what I'm about to share with you isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to protect you. And honestly, it could change everything about how you move through your day, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, and how many good years you have ahead of you. Most people over the age of 70 have been told the same thing by everyone around them. Just keep walking. Walk every day. Walk as much as you can, and you'll be fine. And yes, walking is absolutely one of the most powerful things you can do for your health at any age. But here is what nobody is telling you. Not all walking is created equal. In fact, the way most seniors walk, slow, shuffling, inconsistent, without intention, is leaving enormous health benefits on the table. And in some cases, it's doing more harm than good by reinforcing poor posture, uneven pressure on the joints, and dangerously low cardiovascular effort. There is one small but profound walking change that research is now showing can dramatically improve heart health, reduce the risk of falls, protect the brain, lower blood sugar, and help seniors live longer, more independent lives. This isn't a complicated exercise program. You won't need a gym, you won't need equipment. You simply need to walk differently. And when you do, your body responds in ways that will genuinely surprise you. I've seen this happen with my own patients, people in their 70s and 80s who thought their best years of health were behind them, who were already leaning on the wall when they got up too fast, who dreaded walking upstairs, who feared the day they might not be able to live in their own home. One small change in how they walked transformed those fears into confidence, and it can do the same for you. Stay until the end, because this simple walking change could completely transform how you age. If you want simple, science-backed health tips for healthy aging every week, subscribe and turn on notifications. It only takes 2 seconds. Now let's talk about why walking becomes even more critical after the age of 70, and why the kind of walking you do matters more than the number of steps you take. When we are young, our bodies handle a lot of mistakes. We can sit all day, barely move, eat poorly, sleep badly, and bounce back relatively quickly. But after the age of 70, the body operates on tighter margins. And walking, done correctly, is one of the most powerful tools we have to keep those margins wide. Here is what's happening inside the body as we age. The heart becomes slightly stiffer, making it harder to pump blood efficiently at rest and during activity. The blood vessels lose some of their flexibility, which raises the risk of high blood pressure. Muscle mass begins to decline more rapidly, a process called sarcopenia, which means loss of muscle flesh. By the time most people reach their 70s, they may have already lost 30% or more of their peak muscle mass, and if they're not doing anything to stop that loss, it continues. Weaker muscles mean worse balance. Worse balance means a greater risk of falling. And a serious fall after 70 can be one of the most life-threatening events a person experiences. At the same time, blood sugar regulation becomes less efficient. The cells of the body don't respond to insulin as well as they once did, so glucose, or sugar, stays in the bloodstream longer after meals. This raises the risk of type 2 diabetes and worsens inflammation throughout the body, including in the arteries around the heart. Then there is the brain. Blood flow to the brain naturally decreases with age, and cognitive function, things like memory, mental sharpness, and emotional stability, depends heavily on good circulation. Regular physical activity, including walking, is one of the most powerful tools we have to maintain that circulation and protect the brain against conditions like dementia. Walking addresses all of these issues at once. It strengthens the heart, it improves circulation, it stimulates muscle activity, and reduces the rate of muscle loss. It improves balance and coordination. It helps the body process blood sugar more efficiently. It increases blood flow to the brain, and it supports emotional well-being by releasing natural mood-lifting chemicals called endorphins. But here is what most doctors never fully explain. The benefits of walking after age 70 are not automatic. They depend on how you walk. Walking too slowly for too long without variation gives the heart very little to work with. It keeps the muscles in a low-demand state that doesn't push back against muscle loss. It doesn't meaningfully improve blood sugar processing because that requires slightly more sustained effort. It doesn't build the kind of neuromuscular coordination that prevents falls. The walking change that research now supports, and that I want to walk you through today, is called interval walking, and it is far simpler than it sounds. Instead of walking at one steady, slow pace the entire time, you alternate between your normal, comfortable pace and a slightly brisker pace, doing this in short, repeating intervals. The results this simple change produces in the aging body are, quite frankly, remarkable. Think of it this way. Imagine a garden hose that has been lying coiled in the shed all winter. If you turn the water on very slowly and let it trickle, the hose barely uncurls. But if you increase the pressure in short bursts, the hose straightens out, the water flows freely, and everything that was stuck starts moving. That is essentially what interval walking does for the blood vessels, the heart, and the muscles of a person over 70. Let me tell you about one of my patients. His name was Harold Bennett, a 74-year-old retired school principal from a small town in Ohio. Harold had been dealing with mild heart disease, borderline high blood pressure, and what he called old man legs, a general stiffness and weakness that made him feel unsteady on his feet. He told me during one of our appointments that he used to love taking long evening walks with his wife, but that he had started avoiding them because he was afraid of falling, afraid of embarrassing himself, afraid that one bad step would mean the end of his independence. Harold was walking every day, about 20 minutes on his quiet neighborhood street, but he was walking the same slow, cautious shuffle every single time. He was doing it out of habit more than intention, and his body wasn't responding. His blood pressure had been creeping upward despite medication. His stamina was declining. His most recent balance test at his annual checkup had shown a noticeable drop from the previous year. When I explained the idea of interval walking to Harold, his first reaction was skepticism. "Doc," he said, "I'm not a runner. I can barely make it to the mailbox some mornings." I told him we weren't talking about running. We were talking about walking slightly faster for just 3 minutes at a time, then slowing back down for 3 minutes to recover, and repeating that cycle 4 or 5 times during his regular walk. Harold agreed to try it for 4 weeks. What happened next surprised even him. Within the first 2 weeks, he noticed he was sleeping more soundly. His wife commented that he seemed more like himself. After 4 weeks, we checked his blood pressure, and it had dropped by 11 points on the top number, the systolic pressure, without any changes to his medication. His resting heart rate had decreased slightly, a sign that his heart was becoming more efficient. He told me he had walked a full mile and a half with his wife for the first time in over 2 years, and that he had felt steady the entire way. He even added, with a grin, that he had managed the hill at the end of the block without stopping. At his 8-week check, Harold's fasting blood sugar had improved by 18 points. His balance test score had improved significantly. He had lost 4 pounds without dieting. He was no longer avoiding the evening walks with his wife. In fact, he was looking forward to them. "I feel like I got a few years back," Harold told me, "and that's the thing. He didn't find new years. He reclaimed years that fear and the wrong kind of walking had been quietly taking from him." Now let's address something that I hear constantly from seniors who come into my office, and I want to address it directly because it's holding a lot of people back. The biggest myth about walking after 70 is this: as long as you walk, how you walk doesn't matter. I understand why people believe this. The message for decades has been simple: just move more. Walk every day. Even a little bit helps. And while it's true that any walking is better than no walking, the research now tells us clearly that the quality and pattern of your walking matters enormously, especially after 70. A landmark study published in the journal Diabetologia followed a group of older adults with type 2 diabetes who were divided into two groups. One group walked at a steady, moderate pace. The other group practiced interval walking, alternating between faster and slower periods. After just 4 months, the interval walking group showed dramatically better improvements in blood sugar control, cardiovascular fitness, physical capacity, and body composition compared to the steady walking group. And these were not elite athletes. These were ordinary older adults with real health conditions. Other research from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society has shown that walking speed itself is one of the strongest predictors of survival in older adults. Seniors who walk faster, even modestly faster, live longer, have fewer hospitalizations, and maintain their independence for more years. And a study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that incorporating even brief periods of faster walking into a daily routine produced measurable improvements in heart rate variability, which is a key marker of heart health and nervous system resilience in adults over the age of 65. None of this means you need to push yourself dangerously hard, quite the opposite. The point is that gently challenging your body with short bursts of slightly increased effort and then giving it time to recover creates a stimulus that the body responds to in powerful ways. Your heart gets a real workout. Your muscles have to work harder. Your blood sugar processing improves. Your balance centers are activated. And over time, all of that adds up to real, measurable, life-changing improvements. The problem with walking at the same slow pace every single day is that the body adapts to it very quickly. After a few weeks, that level of effort is no longer a challenge. The heart doesn't need to work harder. The muscles are not being asked to do anything they aren't already used to doing. The body, in its quiet efficiency, simply maintains the status quo. And in older adults, maintaining the status quo often means continuing to decline. Interval walking breaks that pattern. It sends the body a new signal, and your body, no matter how old you are, still knows how to respond to a new signal. That is the science that most people never hear, and the insight that can change everything. So now let me give you exactly what you need to know to start walking the right way, starting this week. The first thing I want you to know is that you do not need to walk longer. You may actually need to walk shorter, but smarter. Here is the step-by-step guide. Start with a 5-minute warm-up at your natural, comfortable walking pace. This loosens the joints, gets the blood moving, and prepares the muscles for what's coming. Don't skip this. Cold muscles in older adults are much more vulnerable to strain. After your warm-up, begin the interval portion. Walk at a pace that feels slightly brisk, not uncomfortable, not breathless, but clearly more effort than your usual pace for 3 minutes. You should be able to speak in short sentences, but not hold a full conversation effortlessly. That is the right intensity. Then slow back down to your comfortable pace for 3 minutes. That's one interval. Repeat this 4 to 5 times. Finish with a 5-minute cool down at your easy pace to bring your heart rate back down gradually. Never stop abruptly after exerting yourself, as this can cause dizziness. In terms of total time, you're looking at approximately 35 to 40 minutes for a full session. If that feels like too much at the start, begin with just 2 intervals and build up over 2 to 3 weeks. For posture, stand tall. Imagine a string gently pulling the top of your head toward the sky. Keep your chin level, not drop toward your chest and not lifted. Relax your shoulders and let them fall back and down slightly, away from your ears. Many older adults walk with rounded shoulders and a forward lean, which compresses the chest and makes breathing harder and balance worse. Swing your arms naturally. As your left foot steps forward, your right arm should swing forward, and vice versa. This natural arm swing actually helps with balance and increases the energy efficiency of your stride. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth at a steady rhythm. Deep, deliberate breathing during your walk increases oxygen delivery to the muscles and the brain, and it also activates the calming branch of your nervous system, which is wonderfully good for blood pressure. The ideal times to walk are in the morning, within an hour of waking up, or about 30 to 45 minutes after a meal. Walking after meals is particularly powerful for blood sugar control because the muscles actively pull glucose out of the bloodstream during movement, reducing the blood sugar spike that normally follows eating. Even a 10-minute gentle walk after dinner is clinically meaningful for people managing blood sugar or trying to protect heart health. Aim for 5 days a week. The 2 rest days give your muscles and joints time to recover, which is especially important after 70 when recovery takes a little longer than it used to. What to avoid? Do not walk on an empty stomach if you take blood pressure or diabetes medication, as some of these medications can cause blood sugar to drop. Do not walk in extreme heat without water and shade available. Do not push through joint pain. There is a clear difference between the mild burn of effort and the sharp signal of injury, and you must respect the latter. Wear supportive shoes with non-slip soles, and do not look down at your feet while walking. Keep your gaze forward about 10 to 15 feet ahead of you, which helps both posture and balance. Tell me in the comments how many minutes you currently walk each day. I read every single comment, and I would love to hear where you're starting from. Now let me tell you about another patient because her story is different from Harold's and it may speak more directly to some of you. Margaret Kowalski was 77 years old when she first came to see me, referred by her primary care physician because of poorly controlled type 2 diabetes and what her daughter described as giving up. Margaret had severe arthritis in both knees, which made walking painful. She had gained weight over the past 2 years because the pain had made her even less active. She was relying on a cane, which she told me she resented bitterly because it made her feel old. Her balance was poor, and she had fallen twice in the previous year, once in the kitchen and once in the parking lot of her church, which had humiliated and frightened her. Margaret's challenge was that the standard advice, walk more, felt impossible to her. Every step hurt. She felt trapped in a cycle where the pain was making her less active, and the inactivity was making the pain and the diabetes worse. What I recommended to Margaret was a modified version of interval walking that I adapt for people with joint pain. Rather than focusing on speed, we focused on rhythm and duration. Short, deliberate, upright steps. No shuffling, with a brief pause every 5 minutes to stand tall and take 5 deep breaths. We also added walking poles, similar to ski poles, which dramatically reduced the pressure on her knees by distributing weight to the arms. We started with just 10 minutes a day, twice a day, with no intervals at all. Only after 4 weeks, when her confidence and comfort had increased, did we begin to add the interval element. After 3 months, Margaret's HbA1c, which is a measure of average blood sugar over time, had dropped from 8.4 to 7.1, a clinically significant improvement. She had lost 9 pounds. She had stopped using the cane. Her knee pain had actually decreased because the muscles around the joint had grown stronger and were absorbing more of the shock. She was sleeping better, and she told me, in what I found to be one of the most moving things a patient has ever said to me, "I walked to the end of the block and back this morning without holding on to anything. And then I stood there and cried because I didn't think I'd ever do that again." That is what the right kind of walking can do, not just for the body, but for the soul. Now let me give you a complete picture of what an ideal daily movement plan looks like after the age of 70, because walking, even done well, is most powerful when it fits into a thoughtful daily rhythm. In the morning, try to get up at roughly the same time each day. Before you even get out of bed, spend 2 minutes doing gentle ankle circles and knee bends while lying down. This warms the joints before you ask them to bear your full body weight. Then, after a light breakfast, aim for your first interval walk of the day. Morning is an excellent time because cortisol, the natural hormone your body uses to start the day, is already elevated and helps fuel physical effort. After your morning walk, spend 5 minutes doing very gentle balance work. Standing on one foot for 10 seconds at a time, near a wall or sturdy chair for safety, is one of the single most effective things you can do to reduce fall risk. 10 seconds on each foot, repeated 3 times, takes less than 2 minutes and has been shown in research to produce meaningful improvements in balance within just 4 weeks. In the afternoon, a short walk of 10 to 15 minutes, even a gentle stroll, is beneficial. This is the ideal time for the lower intensity version if your energy is naturally lower after lunch, which is common in older adults. Avoid sitting for more than 45 to 60 minutes at a stretch. If you find yourself sitting for a long time watching television or reading, simply stand up, walk to another room and back, and sit down again. These tiny movement breaks are surprisingly powerful for circulation and blood sugar. In the evening, aim for a gentle walk about 30 minutes after dinner. This is your blood sugar protection walk, and it doesn't need to be fast or long. 10 minutes at a relaxed pace is genuinely effective. Drink water consistently throughout the day, especially before and after walking. Older adults often feel less thirsty than they actually are, and even mild dehydration worsens fatigue, dizziness, and cognitive sharpness. Aim for at least 6 to 8 glasses of water spread throughout the day, not all at once. If your energy is low on a particular day, do not skip movement entirely. Instead, cut your walk in half, remove the interval element, and walk gently. Moving at all is always better than not moving. If your stamina has improved significantly over several weeks, you can begin to extend the brisk interval portions from 3 minutes to 4 or even 5 minutes, or add an additional interval to your sessions. Progress should always be gradual, no more than a 10% increase in effort or duration per week. Before I give you the closing thoughts I really want you to hear, I need to talk briefly about medications, because this is important and I would be doing you a disservice if I skipped it. If you take medication for high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, or any condition affecting circulation or blood sugar, please be aware of a few things before beginning a new walking routine. Blood pressure medications, especially beta blockers, can prevent your heart rate from rising as high as it normally would during exercise. This is not dangerous, but it does mean that heart rate is not a reliable guide to effort intensity for you. Use the "can I speak in short sentences" rule instead. Diuretics, sometimes called water pills, increase fluid loss and make hydration even more important during exercise. Insulin and certain diabetes medications can cause blood sugar to drop during or after exercise. So check your blood sugar before and after your walk until you understand how your body responds. If you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or your heart begins to pound uncomfortably during any walk, stop, sit down, rest, and contact your doctor. Always talk to your personal doctor before changing your exercise routine. This walking plan is not dangerous. It is genuinely gentle, but your doctor needs to know what you're doing so they can monitor your response and adjust your medications if your blood pressure or blood sugar improves, which it very well might. That's not a warning to frighten you. It's a sign of how effective this can be. Now let's bring it all together, because I want to leave you with something you'll carry with you long after you've closed this video. The goal isn't to walk harder, it's to walk smarter. You have spent your whole life walking. You know how to do it. What I'm asking you to add is intention, a small, deliberate variation that sends your body a signal it has been waiting for. A signal that says, "I'm still here. I'm still capable. I still expect more from you." And your body, because it is the most extraordinary machine ever created, will respond. Remember Margaret, standing at the end of her block, tears on her face, holding nothing. Remember Harold, walking that hill at the end of his street, grinning. These weren't miracles. They were the results of one small, consistent, intentional change applied over weeks and months, and they are available to you too. Fear of falling, loss of energy, that frightening feeling of slowing down and losing your independence, none of these things have to be the story of your 70s or 80s. They can be the before. The change can start today, on your very next walk. Your body is still capable of amazing change. It simply needs the right signal. If this video helped you today, please subscribe so you never miss a new health tip designed specifically for people who want to age with strength, confidence, and joy. Leave a comment below telling me how many minutes you walk each day right now. I would love to know. Share this with someone you love who might need to hear it. And if you have a friend or family member over 70 who could benefit, please send this their way. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take good care of yourself because you are absolutely worth it. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. Always consult your personal doctor before making any changes to your exercise routine, diet, medications, or treatment plan.